This is not my favorite topic to discuss, but it needs to be talked about. Is Hugh playing too much golf?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another bonus episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we got my man, Ben Taylor from the Auburn Network here to talk Auburn football, Auburn basketball, and I don't want to talk about this. I refuse. I almost refuse to talk about it, but it's making headlines, and I have a different take, and I got a little PSA for everybody out there that's making a huge deal out of this Hugh golf thing, and we'll jump into that in just a second. We're also going to talk about Auburn in the NBA. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BARN20 to take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, swimsuits, everything you can imagine, they got it. Show them some love. It's rowback.com.
All right, Kyle. This is something I've been begging you to talk about on my show, on other shows.
I'm caving.
And the one reason I wanted you to talk about it is because you and I both are golfers.
We have a little bit of a different, I guess, perspective on this.
Yes.
We're golfers, like you said.
And so the big thing that's making its way around, whether it be the Barn Auburn, whether it be the X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, any sort of social media, Hugh posting his rounds and playing a lot of golf. And that doesn't look great when you're in the 70s as far as recruiting. Now, I'm sure we probably jumped after this past weekend with the kid that committed, maybe moved a little bit, but still it's well below 50. So let's just say that. And so it doesn't look good, man. And I mean, that is something that has got a lot of people talking. And you and I have talked about this off the air, but we have a legit kind of take on this. And but what's your initial feedback? I want you to talk to me not as a fan, not as a podcast. I want you to talk to me as like an analyst right now, and tell me why it's an issue to fans, at least, of Hugh playing too much golf and why it shouldn't be.
So I think the perspective is this: Auburn maybe a little bit slow on the recruiting trail. Auburn losing big commitments to other SEC schools, schools. And it all happened in a little short period of time. Okay. So what do sleuths do? Like, we got to start looking for reasons. We got to start looking for an explanation. And there is an app. It's the USGA, I guess, handicap app. It's called the GHIN, GHIN. And if you want to play any big tournaments in your club, or you want to play any big tournaments anywhere else, a lot of times they want you to have a established handicap that you go in there and you log your rounds, and it keeps up with your handicap. Well, it turns out over the course of, I think the end of May through June up until now, I think Hugh had played somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 16 rounds of golf.
How nice is that? That's
and
awesome.
That, for most people, is probably a full year's worth of golf. As a matter of fact, the handicap app only counts your last 8 of your top 20 rounds. I'm sorry, your top 8 out of your last 20 rounds. Well, all the 20 rounds that Hugh has had were like, they don't go any further back than let's say March, something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate. So the casual that doesn't really follow and understand recruiting is going to say he's not working. He's playing golf all the time. That's why recruiting's in the tank.
Yeah.
And I think it was an easy something to point to. AL.com ran with it and went crazy with it. And I think if you don't understand the recruiting calendar, how much time it actually takes to play golf, and then what's going on at this point in time, I think if you think that the golf is what's causing the recruiting issues, if you think that, you may be too stupid to have a conversation with. Like that, if you're hanging on to that, you may be so dumb that we can't find common ground, because they could not be more unrelated. And Ben, I know I'm going long, but I want to share something really quick. So if you don't understand how the recruiting calendar works, okay, just towards the end of May, there is a dead recruiting period, okay, which means nobody can visit you. You can't visit anybody else. All you can do is call and text. At the same time, you can't have one-on-one coaching with your players. You can meet with them occasionally. You can't be running drills with your players. You can't be running practices right now. Okay. Then the month of June, all the way up until the end of June, is what's called a quiet period. Okay. What that means is the coach can't go anywhere to recruit.
Right.
He has to stay at Auburn. Kids can come visit. So they have official visits lined up all over the place. Hugh's taking people out to dinner. They're going to Botanic. They're having dinners in the facility. They're doing all these, scavenger hunts and big time things when they have these kids on visits, but it all has to be in Auburn. So the question is, and again, still in June, you can't be coaching. So if you're a coach, like how much time do you expect them to be like? Do they just have to go, like at this point in time, if they just go, you expect them to go sit there at 7:00 they can't coach anything. They can't really do anything. At 7:00 on the phone until 7 to 9:00 at night. Like, is that what they're supposed to do? There's no relation here. Now, could there be some politicking? Could there be some other stuff? Maybe that's being done on the golf course. Who knows? Fundraising, stuff like that. Who knows? I just don't see the correlation between recruiting results and golf rounds. I don't think you can draw. I think it's a correlation, not causation. That's just a coincidence. It's not necessary. There's no action from that I think you can point to say this is why recruiting is the way it is. Am I way off there?
No, because you mentioned you playing golf, me playing golf. I mean, we do quite a bit. Many times have you gotten that from the wife of, the grass needed to be cut too, but you decided to play golf?
Yeah.
Like, really? I mean, we've all been there and done that. And, I told you, I said, I would have an issue with it if this is a Friday afternoon before a game in the fall.
Sure.
Or even if it's a Friday afternoon before a big visit, I still probably don't know that I have too much of an issue because I don't know what he's doing out there with. Like you just said, could be money people, could be a player's father for all we know. I have no idea. And now I'm also not naive enough to think that perception is reality. And
unfortunately,
and that the perception by a lot of the fans is if he's doing this and it takes 4 hours to play golf, then that's 4 hours that he could have been sitting behind his desk making phone calls instead of out on a golf course.
I know people that play golf with him, and you can't even hardly play golf with him because he's on the phone the whole time.
Yes.
So that's just not.
I mean, you and I have a mutual friend that does that. I'm not calling out here, but he stays on the phone the entire time that we're out there. So,
exactly.
So that also has something to do with it. And you told me a story. We were talking about this, and I hate to relate it to him, but you know what? He's a retired coach now. But you told me Nick Saban's story. I had no idea about that story.
Yeah. So he
understood the perception.
Yeah, and we're kind of shifting gears on the conversation. I don't have a problem with Hugh Freeze playing golf.
No, I don't either.
I don't have. I think if you do, again, we can't have conversation. We can't have a conversation because to me, you're going at this in bad faith. If you're trying to go in that direction, to me, you're just going at it in bad faith. So the story goes, the problem I guess a lot of us have is like, hey, just don't log your rounds. Like, don't log your rounds.
Issue.
I understand. Hey, nobody respects keeping a handicap to the tee more than me. Okay. I log 9-hole rounds. Like I log every single round I play. But on the flip side, I'm not a public figure with I guess that my job is necessarily performance based, as far as like, well, I guess all jobs are performance based. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a public figure to where I'm going to draw that much scrutiny. Okay. So don't log your rounds. And here's a story of a perfect example why. Nick Saban plays golf. He played golf all the time. He played golf during the season all the time. There's a story he told that there was a bye week. He went to the lake. He has a place out on Lake, is it Oconee or what? Reynolds Plantation. So, yeah. Beautiful place. He's playing with a group of guys on the bye week Saturday, hits a hole in one. Says nobody can say anything. Okay, this is Nick Saban. Okay, he's
no posting,
no posting,
pictures, no
nothing. Nobody can say anything. Okay, because we got LSU coming up, and if everybody knows, if anybody thinks that I'm out here playing golf before LSU, even though it's not going to affect anything, it's just a perception thing that I don't want. And I would say, if I was talking to Hugh, I'd say maybe let's try to just not put it out. I mean, I know people that are at the club are going to see you, and that's one thing, but like, you don't necessarily have to, like, we're not going to play in the senior US Open. Like, you don't necessarily have to be logging your rounds so much. But then even still, it's all ingenuine, because if Auburn wins 10 games this year, people are going to want to go play golf with Hugh. Like nobody's going to really care. So it's all about perception and being genuine. Do you really think it affects what's going on? Do you really think that's what the issue is? Or is it just you have something against Hugh Freeze, or you're just unhappy with the results and you're just wanting to point to something that's completely unrelated, but it can at least stir up a conversation?
It's low-hanging fruit. And this is not necessarily a comparison, but Bill Belichick right now at North Carolina, all we hear about is him dating this young woman. It's affecting his recruiting and his coaching because he's dating this young woman.
If he doesn't produce, you better believe that's going to be something that's going to be a huge thing, even if it may not necessarily be the reason why things don't go the way you think they could go.
But if he goes undefeated in the ACC, she's going to be the first lady of North Carolina.
Nobody will care. Nobody will care at all. Nobody will care at all, which I always have an issue. I always take issue with that. Like, the argument has to be the same no matter if you win or lose. Like, it has to be, or to me, you're being ingenuine. Like I said, you're talking about this in bad faith.
I think bottom line is, because I told you perception's reality, my issue with it is the posting about it. I mean, and social media has done that too. I mean, this is his GIN number. So, I mean, people that you and I belong on that. Like, we're on that app. We have that app, so we keep up with ours. So we can look up any golfer that's a part of it. And that's how he got caught. Is people were like, "Oh, look, Brother Hugh's playing a ton of golf. We'll write a story on it." And then it became national. So I was like, "Hey, we got to discuss this a little bit." But my thing is Brother Hugh, let's have a little more wherewithal to maybe not make it public.
There's dumb people out there, dude. There's a lot of dumb people out there that are just looking for an excuse. Yes. Don't give them an excuse.
And the thing is you and I both have played. I mean, he may be going out on a Tuesday morning by himself and knocking it out in 90 minutes while everybody's sleeping. He may be playing I don't know. It doesn't. That's what it doesn't log in the GIN. So everybody sees that GIN number and they're like, "Oh my gosh, 15 rounds in a month." During a quiet time, Kyle.
Yes.
During a time where the kids that are in town are probably sleeping late.
He quite literally cannot leave Auburn.
Yes.
He can go do university events. He can go do alumni events, which he's scheduled to do. He quite literally cannot leave the campus to go recruit. It has to be here. So, hey, if you're here and you don't have many other hobbies, what are you going to do? Just sit there and twiddle your thumbs, or do you want to go have some kind of outlet? I don't have a problem with it.
Like, I'm with you on staying genuine, because look at Bruce. We saw the story that came out where he got done with the game. I think it was when we beat Alabama in Alex City. They dropped him off. He went to a Home Depot that night, shared a time, and he stayed at the lake the next 2 days. Thing is, Bruce was winning, so nobody said a word about it. that he was going up to the lake and hanging out and doing it for days at the time when he could have
Yeah.
been hosting somebody or doing whatever. But when you're in the 70s in recruiting, everything is going to be scrutinized, whether it's 3-hour dinners at, as you mentioned earlier, they're one of our advertisers too, Botanic, send the check, please. And if he's having 3-hour dinners there, or if it's a 3-hour round of golf, he's going to be scrutinized until that number gets up and until he starts winning football games. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but that's just part of it.
Yep.
And it's kind of like what people go through when they go through politics and they're a politician. I'm sorry, everything you do is going to be scrutinized. You're being paid literally millions of dollars to basically, and I told you this before, be a coach. And there are people out there that think that's all you should do. You should not be a regular person. You should not have a life. You should not go on dates with your wife. You should just be sitting in the office talking to recruits 24/7 and sleeping up there. And I just don't think it's not a reality. I mean, these guys are people too. I'm sure some assistants were playing with. They didn't say anything about them. It's just the head coach, just you. So
the head coach is he sets the tone. So even if
he does,
assistants are playing golf, which I have zero problem with, they would still point back to the head coach. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's just dead time conversation, like just trying to drum up conversation. It's not affecting. It's just not affecting anything. It's silly to even point to that, in my opinion. But nonetheless, that's what people are talking about. We're going to talk about Auburn in the NBA really quick, just right after this.
So, Kyle, it was released, Jabari Smith Jr., 122 million buckaroos.
Congratulations.
I mean, that's awesome. And that is the kind of thing that we as Auburn fans are not used to seeing.
No.
I told you, I said, I've been following Auburn basketball since probably the late 80s when I got old enough to get into it. Went to school in the late 90s at Auburn, and so was here during the early 2000s, experienced the whole Chris Porter phenomenon that everybody talks about. And I mean, I just haven't seen names go to the league from Auburn. And now you got Jabari Smith, who just signed 122. I'm sure Janai, after he gets out of his rookie contract, because they're already taking him and making him like a pillar of the city up in Philadelphia. Of course, there's that parallel where Charles Barkley played there and now he's playing there. So there's a little bit of an Auburn connection. And it's just names like that, JT Thor, Walker Kessler, who, at one point in time was leading the league in blocks out at Utah that North Carolina didn't want. And he caught second life at Auburn. And so Chuma, who signed with Orlando, even when he had a busted knee, he was signing with Orlando. And so you got all these guys, Sharif Cooper, that are signing these deals in the league, and that's just something we're not used to. If you're a longtime Auburn fan, it's really kind of new. I'm sorry, it is. It's new to us.
It's new and it's fun. Like, hey, this is even a conversation that Auburn's never really been in because it's been hard to get players to the league. Is Isaac Okoro a quote unquote bust? Like they're talking about him, being traded to the Bulls or things. Like it's not necessarily working out at Cleveland. Like even that being in the conversation, like that's just not something we're used to having. Like Auburn players on the trade block in the NBA. Like we don't have players in the NBA typically. So, but now you're going to go 7 years in a row, or 7 players in the last 7 years.
Yeah, 7 players, 7 years
that have been drafted after this season. It just goes to show you two things. Number one, evaluation. I don't think Auburn has just endless money. I don't think Auburn has like the top end NIL support as far as basketball goes. It just is what it is. Auburn's not a basketball school, even though they've had more success in basketball than football recently. So you've had to evaluate. You have to spend every dollar as efficient as you possibly can. Sure, you can point to a few misses, but for the most part, they hit way more than they miss. And then development. Like you get guys, and when you get a really good player, they pop at Auburn. They pop in this system. Bruce knows how to get the best out of his players. And it's one thing to take a guy like I hate to call his name out because he's not here anymore, but it's one thing to take a guy like Chad Baker-Mazara, that's sort of a unsung player, unsung hero, and then you make them you get the most that you possibly can out of them.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be an NBA player, but hey, when you get good players, when you actually get good players, you got to produce, because those guys are coming in with expectations of playing at the next level. And if Auburn can't get me to the NBA, like, you might be looking at a situation where you have to always go to the portal. You know what I mean? So it's fun to talk about. $122 million. Ben, what would you do with $122 million? What if Auburn Network said, Ben, we can't let you go. We got to sign you to a whatever. What is it, 10 years? $122 million?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Would they sign
I
you
would.
to?
I'd invite you to play golf. I'd probably cover the tab.
Yeah.
just to stir up some feelings of folks. Man, I don't know, man. That's the kind of money. That is literally life-changing money. And
he gets to play with Kevin Durant next year.
I know, and that's
the Rockets are going to be fun.
I mean, the dude right now needs to walk into a casino and start placing some bets. He right now is playing with house money. Durant comes to you, you sign a $122 million contract. I mean, Houston's supposed to be well on its way to being a playoff team next year as well. So the Durant helps that, but also they've made some other moves. So they're definitely he's in a good spot, and that tells you that they want you. That lets you know, because he had some limited time this year as far as playing time, and when he was in, he made the most of it. And clearly they saw that and were like, "Look, with Durant, I think that's going to pair well. You're going to learn under him as well. We're going to give you $122 million to stay here. How about that?" And I would. Yeah.
No, can't beat it, man.
Congrats to him, but also just congrats to Bruce and the program, because you already got the naysayers that are out there that are saying, you know who I'm talking about, the other side of the state, where they're like, I mean, when it came to Auburn, we knew he was going to go to the league anyway. Yeah, but he still chose Auburn, and he still chose to come and play and be a part of something, and be a part of Bruce Pearl and his staff. And the same thing can be said for Walker Kessler, who was recruited before he went to North Carolina, remembered that. Same thing for Sharif Cooper whenever he came down here. All these guys, same thing for Tahad right now, who that's going to be another one. He'll be a first-rounder next year. So, Kyle, you're looking at now 8 players in 8 years that are going to be – because Tahad, I mean, he almost was in the first round this year and probably would have stayed in the draft if he had done it. So now he takes over the league next year and over the team. He's going to be a first-rounder next year. So it's just a fun time to be an Auburn basketball fan, especially not just at Auburn, but when they get to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever wanted to start getting into NBA basketball, hey, now you got some Auburn folks that you can follow, which is kind of wild to say. I mean, that's kind of how I pick my NFL teams that I pull for is what Auburn player is this or what Auburn player is that. So it's fun. Now you can kind of do that with basketball, and you're getting more options. You're getting a lot more options to root for. So good stuff. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you're offended by my statement on the golf stuff, I don't care. Get over it. Get over it. We wouldn't like each other anyway.
You know what? You're who we're talking about. How about that?
Yeah. And so, whatever there. But let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll talk again soon. Ben, appreciate it. Tell them how they can find you and support you.
AUnetwork.com is where you can find me. You can click on the WANI logo. We do sports each and every morning just after 7, such as Top Button Tuesdays, as well as Locked On Wednesdays with our buddy Zach Blackerby, who does stuff with you from time to time. So you can find me. Daryl Dapprich, one of your contributors. He pushes the barn in the Barn Auburn. So he's on Mondays, my Double D Monday segment, which is always a hit. So you guys come and click on all that stuff and come find me.
All right, man. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, bonus edition. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.